have Junkrat as well. Both teams will have the Junkrat. It'll just be Hawk playing the Zarya here instead for the Uprising. You'll have Punk on the Sigma.
I mean, Jerry's going to thrive in this kind of situation, though. Plenty of shield for him to work down. And, well, he exits his first fight with a brace of kills, one of them coming from a turret, zapping Master down. The Atlanta Reign, of course, they are playing the kind of setup point. That might be about to change, though. Hawk's knocked back with an increase from Gator, has a shatter.
Yeah, they lose Urster straight away, so that's a lot of the damage. The Shatter goes for nothing. Is now Fusions and co. They start to push up, and they've done such an excellent job, boss, of keeping that distance. You haven't let Hawk do a ton of damage. He'll get Color Hex here, but the push should come through from the rest of Boston and take him out. He used the grab towards the end. This is really like a last-ditch effort for the Wolf. Comes down on the point. They're trying to force them into the Junkrat.
And there it is, Color Hex combining with the Amplification Matrix finds 2 quick kills with the Riptire, looking for a third. Hawk and Gator, though, keep themselves alive for now. Ursa tries to reciprocate, but only finds the 1 kill onto Halo, limiting the mobility of the Uprising somewhat, but there's still plenty of punch power here for Boston. Ursa's forced to play out of line of sight, and that is a chunky Gravitic Flux. Master's caught in mid-air, and Punk finds 2 on the drop-down. The Atlanta Reign are left absolutely desolate after that. Fusions can duck inside the Immortality field if he needs to, but Boston shrug off most of what Atlanta had to bring here and look to be a nose ahead here on Lijiang Tower. The Reign find another way to answer him. Here comes the barrage. Immediate fate had to be used by Dogman to get out of the blast zone, and Hawk responds with micro rockets of his own. I guess it's not about the size of the rocket in the fight. He's able to find that kill. Fusion's brought back into the fray here. Bear in mind, the Uprising is still in control of the point, and that's a big EMP from Jerry. Forces Edison away. He can't Shadow Step or Wraithwalk. He's caught out in the firing line, and he's brought down.
Yeah, as they get the res on the Fusions, you land a big one.
Jerry doesn't go for the EMP, pulls back, and Edison is able to find a Deadeye kill on Color Hex, but the damage was already done. Rockets were already headed straight for Edison and claimed him. Now it's a 5v4 favor in the Uprising. Fusions getting a bit of extra damage into Hawk's Diva. It's a 4-player EMP. Anyone who's seen Westworld knows what happens when it comes to robots and EMPs. It's not good. Punk's going to be desuited now, trying to play around the point. It is still Atlanta in control. They're hit with a biotic grenade, but they're still accruing capture percentage, and the Uprising don't look like they have a way to retake.
No, and you're going to have Gator come back here on the Winston just to get
distance, just trying to play safe here. It's a Rainer at 99% and counting. Edison got hit with a biotic grenade, goes down to Fusions, and Gator now with a primal raid. He's going to be looking for the back line, and Myeonbong is in trouble. Gator, though, sees more of a threat back towards the point itself. He's able to isolate the supports and get rid of them now. The Uprising make a late change in the round, Matt.
They're going to try and run down the road. A big biotic grenade, though, there from Myeonbong. Connects to like 3 players. So now Boston's going to have an advantage going on in.
Boston didn't have the mobility to try and backpedal as the Reign came towards them, but they were ready to receive that aggression anyway. Hooked straight on towards Hawk, who, by the way, can't do anything to shut that ability down with Defense Matrix. And a comfortable cleanup now for the Uprising. They baited the aggression.
And I think Atlanta knew that damage in general would have been very difficult. There's going to be a huge EMP, connects with 4 players, and the bomb goes on in.
Yeah, crucially, Myeonbong going down at the start of that fight. Still the Uprising able to hang on. They've still got a Valve Mercy, and Fusions has his own self-healing. Looking after himself quite comfortably. He is. Ursa's forced into an ice block awfully early. He was still at full health there, but was obviously feeling awfully threatened. And now Fusions can turn around with a gigantic whole hog. The Atlanta Reign. Yeah, they get cooked.
Well, just think about...
Now he really gets to live up to his namesake, I guess. Gator's forced back, then charged up. Zaya's a big problem for him, but he can't hide behind his shield anymore. It had to be a sound barrier from Master. He did well to hold it until after the EMP came in, but will it be enough to keep the Reign durable? Oh my! Hawk finds the front line of the Uprising, and now Boston are on the back foot. Ursa wants to push forward a little bit more. Being tended to by Dogman as he got a little bit. Jerry's being pressured back. He does have a coach gun if anyone gets too close, but Halo gets rid of Master. Hello, Ursa's hacked. Can't use his ice block, and Gator has no shield or health to hide behind. Fusions wants to press to the point with Jerry from the top rope, throws another dynamite in. A timely blizzard for Ursa. It saves the Reign.
To split the team up, they have to use a Zarya bubble on Fusions to try and keep him up. It's not good enough.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Focus the most durable target with the most healing first. But the Atlanta Reign just take what's close to hand as the rest of the Uprising are across the map elsewhere. And Boston are in utter disarray right now. Not only were they moved off of the point, but now they're being herded onto the enemy team side of the map. And Halo has his wings laser clipped off
Trying to just get back to the car a little bit. They're going to use the grab here. They get the mercy in it. Is Atlanta still wants to bite this, although not on the payload, making progress. They kind of take a detour to the right-hand side.
Jerry,
get rid of the mercy
as he tries to run this Zarya down.
Yes, the Punk's gonna have to get back inside of the line of sight of Myungbong, trying to get some healing. Is see, just Edison putting so much damage into fusions. There's nothing they can really do. Halo can't get around the corner. He has to stay with some of these players who've been pushed so far back.
Nakart now is going to reach the checkpoint. Atlanta Reign pushed quite deep, or maybe even try and force some sort of recall. Bob, it's a face full of Kamehameha right now. He's the Graviton Surge with the Pulse Bomb. Because of line of sight, it was only Master that went down to that. Could have been much nastier from Color Hex, but it still looks like it's enough to seal the deal and put Boston back in control.
Yeah, it's actually really nice use there. They bomb in the sky.
That is huge. Bob, not only does he not get any knock-up, but he's kept there in midair and he doesn't actually start firing until the grab lets him go. Still, though, whole hog sometimes is just enough to win fights in and of itself, but Fusions finds the hook on Edison just to compound the problem for Atlanta. That's quite clever. Bob doesn't shoot into firing mode until he actually pressure Jerry off of the high ground. Doesn't have a... Oh my! Fusions! Hooks in Edison just as it looked like the gunslinger would have his day. And now we just take a breather and drop back to the point. Fusions gets hit with a charge there. Gator well positioned to go for a big shadow. There's no shields in the way, but couldn't find any purchase nonetheless. Hex trying to stay alive. Halo wasn't so lucky. Force foul of a melee attack from Masa. And now it's Punk in full stall mode. Desuited now with 45 seconds on the clock, and that's what the Atlanta Reign are going to finish the round. You're really just starting the capture process in earnest now. I mean, Jerry, oh, what a position to be in! And he rains fire and brimstone on the Atlanta Reign from above. That is so wrong. Jerry already up to 80% of his ultimate, and the Boston Uprising will slide coolly onto the point.
Oh, they don't track where Jerry is at all, which is so odd because they use a Maywall up on the high ground to block his line of sight, and then they just go in and nobody turns to...
And was almost punished for it with his life. Yeah, he doesn't get out. It's a little bit uncomfortable here for him. And the Reign are struggling a little bit now with Boston's ability matches to keep Atlanta at arm's length.
Yes, now Boston has kind of turned the tide, right? Having the Ryan Zarya here in the mix, you can play so much more brawly than you could have played even with Roadhog. You can just put down so much damage on like the May and
Boston Uprising with a -47 map differential are looking the stronger team right now. Atlanta Reign look like they're out at sea. They got no idea what to do. They spend ultimates like crazy in that fight and get completely rolled. They go for a Blizzard and a Shatter. They don't get the support ultimates online when they need them, so this has to work. Otherwise, the Uprising... Whoa! Myungbong, the Sandman.
Why are they even down there?
Oh, man.
I mean, it's a great sleep dart, but I mean, Myungbong ain't really helping them that much from down in the sewers.
I mean, he's rising down. That ultimate was purely to create some space now for the Reign to occupy, to move up and contest the cart once again properly.
Yeah, and you don't get a kill with the Blizzard per se, but you push Punk into a position where as soon as they realize he's split off, there's no way he can get any healing.
That boost, but still has a shatter. His shield is low, very low. Edison gets to the back line and going for a death block, and he gets rid of Myungbong. A lot of healing missing, but that's a gigantic shatter from Fusions. Still, the Atlanta Reign are able to get a sound barrier. Master stepped up to the plate, but Jerry doubles down with a death blossom, and Gator has to desperately try and charge. He doesn't hit that enemy. Reaper, and now it's just the May buying a little bit of time. Erster on the point, staying alive. Will have Gator gets to the card. It's just Halo that gets shattered, and he's able to pick himself back up. Punk, though, not so lucky. Too low, and there wasn't enough healing available with his Lucio out of Akshon and the coalescence from Dogman. It's just unbelievable healing output from him over the course of this map. A big factor in the Reign being able to hold the Uprising. He's got to go. Punk decides. He's looking for the kill here, and yeah, not much could be done by the rest of the Reign.
Yeah, they try and pocket him. Masa ends up using the Valkyrie. They're trying to keep him alive long enough so he can end up using the Transcendence. Sharp ends up falling off the side of the map. They'll lose Edison. They get the res on a Dogman, but should be Boston being able to take this point, like barring some really bad collapse. And yeah, I mean, there's the grab at the end. Probably didn't even need it. You end up using grab.
They have to use a resurrect on him as Masa now goes for the Valkyrie. Oh, Jeffrey! Edison with his pass. He was like a blur, and his head just gets lopped off. Jerry is forced back though for the time being, and Poco's just trying to buy a little bit of time and space, but he goes down, and now the Uprising are ready to move on to the point.
Oh, and I mean, you have the Nano Zarya on the point with a Diva trying to contest, and it's already got 80 charge. That'll be Dogman using a Transcendent, trying to keep everybody up. Edison actually burns down Punk, so you do get rid of that Zarya, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Whole Hog here knocking players off of the point. They're so close to getting this second checkpoint as Boston.
Fusion's getting the double there is huge, and there it is, 3 minutes and 35.
Around that choke where Fusion's is playing, can't really full on commit.
Oh, okay, Edison drops, and Jerry finds the kill there, and the Atlanta Rain look a little uncertain. We've been on board with Sharp for a lot of this round that looked like they were kind of hanging out in no man's land, right? Not really pushing straight in, maybe fearing again the threat of Fusions and Punk, but that just buys time.
That'll be the second tick on the point. You see these infusions up here this time, try and open that space, and it'll be Jerry who gets Dogman with a dynamite. The res will come through, but while the res is coming through, Jerry's able to get Masa.
Nano boosted Punk now. He is charged up and ready to go, and Poco again a primal rage where he spends most of it very low health. And again, the Boston Uprising, they thrive in a more prolonged fight. They get their Zarya charged up, they get more opportunities for a
Atlanta Rain make a mistake, that's extremely punishing. See there, Hawk gets really low, he has to use a self-destruct. Now you have no long-range hit scan.
You have no choice, you have to go for the Valkyrie and resurrect there. Sharp's brought back, but then Poco goes down. Doesn't matter what they do, the Atlanta Rain can't seem to play with more than 5 people. And the Boston Uprising, safe as houses now. Color Hex is able to pressure Dogman, who is just inches from death. And this is essentially a full hold on point A for the Boston Uprising after a very commanding offense. They get to choose 2 maps in a row, and finally one comes up, and they get the done. These shots keep ringing out in precise, so Jerry knows. Oh, he knows. Dogman's sat on the cart. Dogman needs to keep his head down now as Jerry, a couple of unsuccessful shots. Color Hex finds a Helix rocket kill on Ursa in Atlanta. Oh dear.
They gotta be careful here. I feel like it's the first fight, it's really early, but just in terms of like...
Baby, let's go! And he has attack visor now as well, but against Diva that could be tough.
Oh, well, they get rid of Ursa straight away. You may not even need it, as he will end up popping it. That'll be 2 kills with attack visor.
Oh,
but look at what a position that's put Hawk in, right? You have the Widowmaker up on that top right high ground, and then the high ground by main is where the
line of sight. Carl Hex getting harassed on the high ground, but he's able to run away. Sprightly old fellow that he is. Helix Rocket almost claiming Edison, who holds the Deadeye. He really knows he has to get rid of the Soldier 76, and so he does. Now the Supercharger, Edison and Inanimate Objects. Name a more iconic duo. Myeonbong will be forced out of line of sight there, and it will just be a Valk Mercy for Halo.
Still, pretty decent first point hold there for the Boston Uprising. There'll be walls here used by Jerry. Too concerned right now because the cart's not making that much progress. Beautiful wall getting both supports.
So clever! Wall from across the map, and Hawk is on it straight away. Myeonbong, I mean, what do you do? I mean, Diva could essentially 1v1 any hero in the game. Banana is definitely not going to be too much of a big task. So that's a play made right there from Ursa identifying it. Good last year, that's for sure, but things have changed as they often do. Pump! Oh my! Looks like he got knocked up into the air by Hawk's self-destruct. It looks like it. He gets taken down by the Deadeye. Gator wants to push forward now, but he's a little too low. Amplification Matrix, you'd think that would cause Boston to pause a little bit here, but the Rain are in no position to actually make any use of that Air Matrix, and Gator gets sat the heck down. Big shatter off from the side by Fusions.
They needed
and now
something.
The Uprising can stabilize.
They needed something to kind of stop the bleed.
Now if they can catch Jerry before he gets behind a shield, then they're golden. And yep, Gator's willing to spend a shatter to make sure.
Well, they knew that they were playing a little bit out of position, trying to keep Jerry alive, so they were able to get the shatter off. Oh, ice block there from Ursa, just saving himself as Dogman doesn't have the fade, so he'll go the
switches to the Widow. Of course, having the advantage against the Ashe at longer ranges helps a lot. And uses his shadow to no avail. No one is inside the Gravitic Flux there. Pump misses a golden opportunity to slow the Rain down. And now the Uprising getting thrown in the wood chipper, Matthew. 53.
Out of their healing, yeah. I mean, that is actually probably worst case scenario there, right? Losing the Moira early on. It's really difficult to just live long enough through the spawners.
Halo goes down here, so a little bit of time bought by the Rain, but again, they are just throwing themselves at the card here. This is not a fight that they're trying to win at this point. The more clock they can burn, the better. Jerry gets himself on the legs now as Color Hex takes to the skies, and man, don't miss.
As they end up building some ultimates, you probably have him switch off 76.
From Gator, but only hit Pump. Can they get rid of the Roadhog before he takes a breather? No is the answer. There's that EMP the Boston were waiting on. It catches two. Gator has no shield, Ursa has no ice block, and both fall.
As this will be the Boston Uprising, you know, winning this fight barely. I mean, Jerry's got to pop off to the point where he gets a second Bob here towards the end.
Forced by Dogman there really early. This could be dangerous. Self-destruct, nothing found with that one. Gator's already gone down. Bob again is on the job. Jerry plays on the high ground, being pocketed like heck, and pretty hard to shut him down. Edison was able to find him, and attempted resurrect from Halo pays off, and the Uprising are far from done, Matthew. They want to stay in these playoffs.
This is exactly what you would want to see if you were an Atlanta Range fan.
But Myeonbong, man! Myeonbong gets two, and both of them came off with a fast biotic grenade. Punk gets charged by Gator, but he has plenty of his own padding built in there, so no dramas. Picks himself back up. And now the Uprising will actually get to take some really handy chance at the end. Oh, great Salvator from Master there, preventing Atlanta Rain from being sent back to the Dark Ages entirely, but it's not enough to keep Gator and Erster alive. Hawk's able to trade, making it a 4v5. Oh, fusions! Okay, he was trying to keep Halo alive when he went for the resurrect, but he actually gets caught out. That could be a huge mistake.
Oh, the Dogman gets hooked right there. I mean, that is killer.
Oh
Punk with the long range on Edison. A hook on Amasa.
The absolute seams. Punk cutting the Atlanta Rain down one by one.
As well. Atlanta, though, they know the time banks. Look at the amount of time that Boston has right now. I know, 1 minute and 30. Even if they were to speed run this, it would be tough for them to get like 53 seconds.
Gator didn't realize he was hit with the biting grenade there, Matt. He turned his back to get a health pack that he wouldn't have been able to benefit from while he was hit with a bionade. So, big mistake.
Some of these ultimates early.
Deadeye from Edison. It's just speculative, and he gets cut out of it, still able to find a headshot on Color Hex, but the EMP still occurs. Edison knows he needs to dig deep, needs to find the kills, and that's a big one on Jerry. He gets rid of Halo with the help of Hawk, and now being pressured down by Punk. Hawk knows he's in trouble here, and that he's going to get desuited, and he just tries to get back to spawn as quickly as he can. Punk trying to keep the shield of Gator low, but here comes a self-destruct into the backside. Blizzard there as well. Fusions is down. Punk's knocked into enemy territory, and it all comes crumbling down. The fragile house of cards put together.